The much anticipated episode 5 of Ahsoka is finally here and went a long way to answer a bunch of different questions regarding Ahsoka's place in the universe, but also left us with quite a few questions too. Picking up not long after the cliffhanger of the last episode, Ahsoka finds herself in her own mind, or the world between worlds. It's not really made clear if it is the world between worlds or her mind, and it's really left up to us, the viewers' own choice or imagination or opinion. Here Ahsoka meets her former master Anakin Skywalker, who wishes to continue her training by giving her a choice: live or die. From here, Ahsoka is sent into her memories of a few of her biggest battles during the Clone Wars, beginning with the first one on Ryloth. The episode puts a lot of things into perspective regarding Ahsoka's place in the Clone Wars as we see her through this battle on Ryloth, which is one of the first her and Anakin partook in together. And it's really made clear here that during this time, she was a child. It's really interesting how we all knew she was a child in the animated series and going through the Clone Wars and the movie, but seeing that in live action is rather sobering, and the reality of it hits so much better. She was a literal child soldier, forced to fight to survive, and this is a lesson Anakin is trying to impart on her, that he needed to train her to fight so that she would live on and survive and be able to adjust to the changing times. I really like how he says that the Jedi need to change with the times, and how Obi-Wan would always say that they're keepers of the peace, but this isn't peacetime, it's wartime, so they need to become warriors and very warlike. And it's also really cool seeing Anakin say stuff like that, since it's stuff that he probably should have been saying during the prequels that we never really got from him. And he's absolutely right, since a big thing in the prequels is how the Jedi refuse to change and refuse to adapt to the changing times, and it's because of that is why Darth Sidious is able to overthrow them and usurp power from underneath them, since they were too arrogant to see what was happening in front of them. While Ahsoka travels her memories, Hera, Jason, and the New Republic pilots begin to search for her and Sabine. This gives Hera and Jason the most they've had to do all season, and Dave Filoni uses the chance to talk about Jason and how he is force sensitive, having him actually hear Ahsoka's battle with Anakin amongst the waves, and it's a really beautiful moment between him and his mother. The heroes begin their search for Ahsoka in the water while also working against time, as the New Republic has cottoned on to what Hera is up to and sent part of the fleet to retrieve her. This portion of the story I didn't particularly like, since, why are the New Republic commands so paranoid about what a single general and a couple of X-Wing pilots up to? They even act somewhat hostile to them, as if Hera, a seasoned rebel general who has been there from the very beginning of the rebellion, would be going rogue or turning against the New Republic. I feel it needed an extra scene where the Republic commanders are pressured by that group of senators led by Xiondo to get Hera back, since she will cause an incident that will be bad for their reputation or something, and they're just more worried about the reputation than actually stopping Thrawn. Building off the ideas this show and other shows like The Mandalorian have been putting forward about the Republic being poisoned by ex-Imperials. It feels like the portion of the story wasn't really thought out, and they just needed that ticking clock element to kind of push the story forward at a good pace. Ahsoka, meanwhile, is transported to the siege of Mandalore, and she finally realizes what Anakin is trying to tell her, that she is a culmination of him and everything that he has learned from his master and so on. She is his legacy. However, Ahsoka takes that to mean also the dangerous parts of Anakin live within her as well, something that she actively fights against, and when it comes down to it, she bests Anakin, but doesn't give in to that hate like he did. Ahsoka is soon rescued by Hera and Carson's team, and Filoni reveals to us the entire reason behind this sort of journey of self-discovery with Anakin, which is for her to emerge on the other side as Ahsoka the White, the kind of endgame that Filoni had in mind for the character, and one we saw actually in the end of Rebels that we weren't sure how she got there, but now we kind of know how. I do like how different Ahsoka feels after this happens. She feels a lot lighter and a lot freer from the baggage of what happened to her master, and how she feels somewhat responsible for what happened to Anakin, since she feels like she abandoned him. And I'm really intrigued to see how this experience affects her and Sabine's master and apprentice relationship, since before she was very cold and very sort of clinical with Sabine and telling her how she must train and how things go and everything. But now she feels like there's a little bit more of an upbeat nature to Ahsoka, very much like how Anakin was very upbeat during the Clone Wars with her. And I'm intrigued to see how that is going to go in the next 3 episodes. With Ahsoka now being Ahsoka the White, it leads to the final couple of minutes of the episode where she decides that she can follow Sabine after learning where she is in a great bit that uses the Force Echo power that we've seen so much, especially in the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor series, where Cal can sense things on objects and see where the people who own those objects were and are. I do like that they brought that back, and I think they actually brought back the sound effect from that video game that sounds off when she uses the power. And now that she knows where Sabine and Morgan Elsbeth and all of those other characters have gone, she can use the Purgles to get there. I thoroughly enjoyed the build up to the whales heading off into hyperspace with Ahsoka, and the build up in the music alone from Kevin Kline is just incredible. And just the scale Filoni is able to capture with these creatures leaving Cetos and passing through the Republic fleet is just fantastic, and it feels earned as well. And it's extra earned for someone like me who has watched Rebels and what the space whales mean and how much it means to see them again and have that being paid off again. I'm not without my worries though, since from here on out the show has 3 episodes left, and that seems like a rather short window to get to this other galaxy, find out where Sabine is, stop Morgan Elsbeth from getting Thrawn, stop Thrawn from returning, finding Ezra, stopping Baylan and Shin, along with the New Republic storylines with Hera and the Senators, which I'm sure we're probably not going to see again since it's made clear that Hera couldn't come with them on this journey, and I doubt we're going to be seeing her again throughout the series. Obviously, we have the upcoming movie Filoni is doing, which will no doubt be a build-up from this, as well as the next season of The Mandalorian and whatever else, and next season of this show if it gets another season. But it still seems like there is a lot to cover and not a lot of time to do so. There is a lot to be excited for. I'm very excited to see Thrawn and all of this sort of stuff. They've been doing a great job building up his character as this be-all, end-all, and I'm very intrigued to see him in live action. But I also don't know how it's all going to be properly covered within 3 episodes, and it's going to be even worse knowing that we'll have to wait a long time for the next series just because of obviously the very much needed strikes that are happening at the moment, as well as just normal production timelines and how things work. Dave Filoni's return to the director's chair of Star Wars came with some fantastic visual storytelling, moving Ahsoka's personal story forward in an impactful and meaningful way that builds off everything he has done with the character and those around her since Ahsoka's creation in 2008. However, the slight detour here could be at a detriment to the myriad of still hanging plot threads that the remaining 3 episodes will all have to deal with in quick succession. I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10.